I remember when there was a Boondock special where it had Martin Luther King come out, and it was during our time, right? So Martin Luther King addressed the crowd, but before he addressed them, he seen how we had changed and how we were fighting and killing one another and partying and twerking and just acting a fool. And he basically was like, dang, I did all of this for that. I went through all of what I went through in the civil rights movement for black people to act like that. And it was a heavy moment in a cartoon, but it was a message in it. And I know it's Martin Luther King's birthday. I want to bring out some things of what I've thought about, pertaining to MLK, the dream that he had in our current state. And so a lot of y'all know, like, MLK, he was a spearhead of the civil rights movement, including Rosa Parks, but mostly Martin Luther King. He is seen as a revolutionary for change and progress in black and white relations. He is talked about in schools. We grew up hearing about him as well as other household names when it comes to Black history, especially Black History Month. Um, so MLK is a pioneer. Now, I don't agree with the ideology of MLK, integration. I don't agree with none of those things, but you have to give respect where respect is due when it comes to our Black leaders of the past that were pioneers, meaning they were the first to ever do this thing and to step out in the spotlight and do something to make change, do something for their people in the sight of oppression, in the sight of racial hatred. So you have to, salute the pioneers, whether or not you agree with their ideology or not, whether it be Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, MLK, the list goes on and on. W.E. Du Bois, what's the brother? Booker T. Washington. You have to, you, there's been nobody to even come like that to be on the level of some of these men, even though their ideology may have been flawed. They were pioneers and they deserve respect. Now, with that being said, now MLK wanted for Black people to integrate and to be treated equally and one day hold hands with white folks in unison, in unity, and in the spirit of being humans, right? Well, that didn't really pan out, as you can see. Also, MLK, before he even passed, he said it out his own mouth that he felt like his dream was a nightmare. He talked about Black people being freed to be in slavery and to be in poverty all over again, having no economic base. The government giving an economic base to other white immigrants, but when it came to Black people who are from this soil, they didn't give them an economic base like jobs and land and things of that nature. So he realized out of his own mouth, and this is a soundbite. It's a soundbite. I'm sorry, a sound bite that's out there that you don't even hear. They don't like to play it because it tears down the whole "I have a dream, you should be like Martin Luther King" ideology that white America likes to push on Black people. That you need to think more like Martin Luther King. You shouldn't be, a revolutionary. You shouldn't talk about, the negative things in history. You should not spew hatred. That's truth. Whenever you talk about truth, they call it hate speech, right? You shouldn't spew hate speech. They would rather you think like that, but no one tells you that he had recanted that whole movement later on. He recanted it. He said the dream has become a nightmare.
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare.
And now you turn around and you look at 50, 60 years later, and you look at Black people and you understand that integration was probably the worst thing ever. Now, when you look at the Black household from the 1920s to the 1940s, 50s, they done studies on this. The Black household was doing very well. A lot of times better than white homes, white households. Black families were intact. Children were growing up in two-parent households during this time. It wasn't until after the 60s, after integration and then the women's liberation movement, you know, that whole thing, the lesbian movement, the gay movement, all of these movements came about that Black people latched on to, welfare. You started to see the breakdown of the Black family. And this all came from integrating with people who did not want us to integrate with them, but they accepted us, right? And so you see the fallout today in the Black community. I mean, look at our people. We have taken on the thoughts, the ideals, the philosophies of American society and television, whatever you want to call it, the things that we see. Our community is destroyed. Our community is in shambles. It's hurting. It's hurting real bad. And I know we like to turn a blind eye, especially with Black people. We like to turn a blind eye and not think about it and just think about our own personal lives. That's something else that came from, following those ways. We turn into individualists. We turn into people who no longer cared about our community, but we cared about self. We cared about what we got going on. We care about what benefits us. If it doesn't benefit us specifically, we could give a damn. We'll have an opinion. We'll say, yeah, it better not happen to me. You can't do that to me. Oh, that's messed up. But I don't got that problem. Like, we separate ourselves as individuals and we no longer look at ourselves as a community until something happens and it goes viral. Then we want to, protest and cry out. But other than that, we're not speaking on all the Black women that's missing every day as individuals. We're not. It would have to be a fallout, a viral fallout on social media for Black people to start to care, straight up and down. Like, whenever it's something that Black people care about, it has to go viral. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be, you see these stories, you see these things happening time and time again. You should be angry about it. You should speak up on it. But getting back to, the whole MLK thing, he felt like he had integrated his people into a burning house, meaning integration probably wasn't the right thing. Now, I've said this before. If your house is on fire, you are not trying to stay in that house. You're not running to go into a house that is burning on fire. You're not trying to integrate into a burning house. You're trying to run from it. You're trying to stand clear of it. You don't want to get caught by none of the flames or the ambers or an explosion. And so what MLK said in that quote, that he feared that he had integrated his people into a burning house, has come true. Because when you look at us today, we have got hit with all of the flames and the fire for integrating when none of those things happened before. Now, I said that in a previous video where we built the first HBCUs, those historical Black colleges in those towns at a time when we were separate. We wasn't integrated into the burning house. We wasn't. And we have not done that since integration. We have not been that great since integration. Y'all think that we great now. We are not great. Our ancestors were better than us. Hell, our ancestors in slavery were better people than us. They were stronger, they were smarter, they were more robust. They understood where they stood in the world. They knew that much, right? And so these are some of the things y'all got to think about. These are some of the things that I've thought about. This is why I wanted to make this video, so brothers and sisters could actually think about it. And let me know if you agree or not on the things I've said. Look at this. Look at the current condition of us now. Look how we were back then with less, but we had each other, right? With all the rage, the racial prejudice, the bigotry, all of that. But we prospered and we did more for our community. We built more for our community. Let me know if I got a point or not. Give me your thoughts and your opinions. And with that, this is Black Authentic Truth.